Hey guys, I'm here to do another spot. This one is going to be about my favorite directors, and I love movies to a point in which that directors play a very vital part in the films that I decide to see. And I think one of the most underappreciated directors of his time. He passed away in August of 2009 from pancreatic cancer, I believe. And it's the director Satoshi Kon, who is, I consider to be probably one of the greatest animation visionaries, pretty much who has ever lived. And I have all of his feature films, and I'm trying to get a hold of his anime series, his television series. But we'll get into that as we move along through the chronology through his filmography. Now, the first film he ever ended up doing was the film Perfect Blue. And this is probably one of the most elegantly made suspense films of all time. I love the fact that they have up at the very top of the DVD cover a quote from Roger Corman, which is an awesome quote to have on a movie like this. It's a startling and powerful film if Alfred Hitchcock partnered with Walt Disney to make a picture like this. Now, the interesting thing that they say about that is the fact that Satoshi Kon did not animate in the traditional anime style. He wanted to try to make the people that he created in his movies look, realistic. So, and that's where you really started to see it in Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is about um, Mimi Kirigoi, who is a pop icon, who is leaving her pop career in order to become an actress, and she uh, takes a role in a television series called Double Bind, and it becomes highly sexualized to a point where she's even involved in like a quote unquote rape scene in a nightclub involving this involved with the film and with the production that she's in, and so uh, she's being stalked by a crazy overly obsessed fan. So it has like you can see like some of I guess you can say Stephen King's Misery in this story, which is a great add-on. Now, if you watch this film, you'll notice a shot that's very similar. If you've ever seen Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream, which is above all an amazing film, uh, there's this shot, and actually it's right on the back of the cover too. It's the last picture. It's of Mima face down on her knees in the bathtub, and then it cuts to her, and then she's screaming underwater. They copied that shot for shot with Jennifer Connelly in Requiem for a Dream, and actually Darren Aronofsky bought the rights to Perfect Blue. From what I understand, he bought the rights to Perfect Blue in order to do that scene. And a lot of people also say that Perfect Blue, Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan, which I also think is a great film, is a ripoff of Perfect Blue because it deals a lot with the complexities involving the loss of identity and not knowing what's real and what isn't, and slowly going insane. And this movie is an incredibly well put together piece involving human psychology. And it's a great film. The next movie in his lineup is actually my favorite animated film of all time, and that's Millennium Actress. Now, the great thing is about the copy that I have, it doesn't come with English dubbing. It comes just with the Japanese dubbing with English subtitles. Now, thankfully, I've seen the movie enough that I know what goes on, so I can pay attention to the visuals, because the visuals are incredibly unique. The way that he can tell a story is absolutely unbelievable. And it's an incredibly human tale. The whole film is about uh, a documentarian filming the demolition of a bankrupt studios, or no, sorry, it's a studio that is removing its old lot, and he's going to interview one of their greatest stars, and it it just it's such a dramatic tale. It's so sad. It's the only film I've ever cried in, and that's saying much. Because I really don't get insanely emotional when it comes to movies. I'm more analytical, which it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. But with Millennium Actress, I'm always lost in the visuals. I'm always lost in the beautiful arc of the story. I believe that it's timeless in a way, and it just moves seamlessly throughout reality and fantasy so many times and so often that you never know if you're watching something that's happening in this person's life or it's part of their career. And I think it's probably one of the most unique ways to ever create a film. And the cool thing is about Satoshi Kon, in every single one of his movies, he was not actually, according to him, was very influenced by traditional Japanese anime and manga. He actually was heavily influenced by live action American films, which was really cool. Because usually it's not the case. Usually it's the other way around. Like you get like Quentin Tarantino and you know, uh, his uh, his influence from Japanese anime, as you see in like things like Kill Bill. But it's definitely a movie to check out. I recommend it on all levels, and if you love animation, you'll love the animation in this film. If you love stories of a very complex nature, you really will love this film. The next movie that they did was I think in a weird way, even though this movie was incredibly dramatic on many levels, he toned it down a bit from Millennium Actress and Perfect Blue. They were very serious films. Even though Millennium Actress was very romanticized, his next film was Tokyo Godfathers, and this movie was about three homeless people discovering a baby girl in a garbage dump on Christmas Eve, and the whole movie is about her. Uh, is about these homeless people trying to find out the parents, trying to find the parents of this abandoned child to figure out what happened, and it's a touching story, and it's a very much a story of humanity. It very much is a story about the complexities of what people can call the human soul. And I think it raises questions on about how, regardless of stature, it also goes through how these people ended up the way they are. And they're truly heartbreaking stories. And everything is lapped together as they call themselves the ultimate dysfunctional family, and it's just amazing to see these characters work off of each other. I mean, with Satoshi Kon's movies, you feel something for these animated characters, these drawings, these moving drawings. There's so many human elements to it that it boggles my mind. The next thing he ended up doing was his television series, which was called Paranoia Agent. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to get a hold of it because it's really expensive. It's probably one of the most highly priced animes you can buy from Japan, and it's one of the most popular. The funny thing is, Paranoia Agent was a combination of all of these small little story ideas that Satoshi Kon had made up, but he hadn't found he hadn't been able to flush them out into full films, so he just combined a whole bunch of his ideas together into a series and made each idea an episode, or a couple episodes, or something like that. It's a very complicated and very interwoven series, even though the ending does not add closure very much to it. But then again, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be open-ended and make you think. And it goes through the complexities again of human emotion, the human condition, psychology. There's also parts, the depravity that people are willing to do in order to help the people they love, and vice versa. They're willing to help the people they love in order to save themselves. I mean, hurt the people they love in order to save themselves. It's a truly great testament. And also, the thing is, though, again, it's involving the creation of film. In this case, and there's several episodes devoted uh, to the creation of anime, and it's almost like a lesson, which is really cool about it. The last film Satoshi Kon managed to make before he died was Paprika. And Paprika is probably one of his more well-known pieces because it is probably his most visually ambitious film. The visual ideas in this movie are beyond amazing, and the creativity that's put into this is mind-boggling. Just to think that out of the imagination of this one person combined together with, uh, I believe, if I understand correctly with this one, yeah, Seishi Minakami. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names always, but he wrote the screenplay, and it just shows the imagination that comes out of it. And this is one of the reasons why I believe that Japanese anime is a better animation, or at least a more closely held animation form than any form of American animation. And it's interesting because without American animation, without Disney, Japanese anime would not be the way it is because it was heavily influenced by it in the 40s and in the 50s. But at the same time, this movie is so uniquely by itself. I don't consider it traditional anime. I don't consider it at all Western in terms of animation either. It's something that is literally completely by itself, and that's with all of Satoshi Kon's works. He's just a director that has such a unique vision. He is such an auteur in animation that you put in any one of his films, you automatically recognize it's a Satoshi Kon film. And Paprika is definitely no exception. And the thing is, the whole story is about, uh, and a lot of people actually do condemn Inception for ripping off of Paprika. Now, I will say that Paprika and Inception have very similar ideas. They involve different things. Inception is about the complexity and the structure of creating dreams, and actually the functionality and the artistry that goes behind lucid dreaming. This one is different. This is one how dreams are used as a therapy for people. It's our last refuge, and also how technology are wanted to increase our hold on ourselves, to whittle us down to the most, I guess you can say, un, undis, I guess you could say undisputable, indisputable logic, types of logic, that we are letting technology infect us to a point where it's destroying our minds. And the whole thing is about this machine that they hook up to people's brains to record their brains, to enter into dreams, and to record the dreams as they go to help out with therapy, which is subconscious, and they can uproot it much more easily. The device falls into the hands of a dream terrorist, and it's all about them trying to find out where it is in order to get it back, because it can hack into any person's mind who had ever been attached to this machine and make them do anything. So it's a really scary idea of how our dependence on technology infiltrates us to a point where it can control our mind if someone can get a hold of it. all of Satoshi Kon's movies I can't recommend enough, and also his series. This is and his most recent film that he was working on when he died, I believe, was called The Dream Machine. Is being completed by his first assistant director, and the I'm looking forward to seeing the movie come out. I'm interested to see how they would take Satoshi Kon's notes and storyboards that he had all completed before he died, and see how it would turn into a vision that would be a Satoshi Kon. And I do believe he's one of the great underappreciated animators, because everyone knows Miyazaki, and god damn, I love Miyazaki to death. I love Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and, Lupin the Third. I love his movies. I love all of his films that I've seen. But at the same time, I don't think he has the same. No, though he attaches more. Miyazaki attaches more to the child in us, to this fantasy in always involving the the complexity of the child's mind and also the vulnerability of their emotions. This one is very Satoshi Kon's films are very adult, uh, even though kids can watch it. But like Perfect Blue is a very bloody movie. People die. People have their their this guy in one scene there's a paper bomb that an envelope bomb that blows up in this guy's hand and he splits his hand open, and then there's this other part where a person gets a screwdriver stabbed repeatedly into him. I mean, it's a dark movie, but at the same time, Tokyo Godfathers is incredibly sad. I put this thing up into some of the highest categories of sad movies that Disney has ever come out with. But it's very adult, and it treats the audience with respect. It never panders to their intelligence. I'm not saying that Miyazaki does that at all. Princess Mononoke, it's a very adult film. It's an R-rated film. It's a very, very adult film. But I'm not necessarily saying that adult films are the better films, because there's plenty of great children's films out there that are meant for children and still great for adults, even if they don't age. But Satoshi Kon's work is to a point where you can take beyond the idea that animation is meant just for kids. I mean, like, with some of Miyazaki's work, like Ponyo and whatnot, you can definitely tell that this was like, these are for kids, even though, it's still an amazing work, and I'd still go see it in the theater, because that's what I did. But Satoshi Kon's work it gives the audience a sense of great intelligence, and it leaves it up to you to fill in the pieces. It doesn't lay everything out in front of you. None of his films do that. None of his films wastes a second, a frame. It never panders to you. It never wastes any time. But at the same time, it's paced so well that you think that everything just flows so naturally, like they just filmed people interacting and they just made a movie off of it. So, of all the Satoshi Kon's movies that I've watched, my favorite is definitely Millennium Actress. And that's mainly because it's just a beautiful film in all aspects. It's dramatic, it's tragic, it's comedic. It has every element there in all the right amounts. And I can't stress it enough to a point where this is definitely got a movie that has to be a movie at the top of your watch list, and it's pretty much near the top of my favorites list. It's definitely up in the top 5. Perfect Blue is an amazing thriller. It's an amazing dark thriller. It's it's very, very much like you can see like Panic Room or Rear Window. It has that essence to it, that tension to it. Tokyo Godfathers is a very sad but very uplifting movie. It's kind of like, I can actually see that it's kind of like an animated emotional experience that you can get while watching. I don't know. It's a Wonderful Life. Like that type of heartbreaking but joyous feeling you can get while watching it. And Paprika, it's a one hell of a head trip. this has so much wonderful animation and wonderful creativity in it that it never gets any of the credit for what it deserves. And I really hate the fact that that's the case. And the problem is though, because this movie is like this movie's rated R, so it's hard to distribute it to more of a mainstream media, because the thing is, the general connotation with animated films is that they're not meant for adults. And of course, you can't say that about all animated films. You can't say that about Ralph Bakshi's films at all. You can't say that about Satoshi Kon's movies. You can't even say that all about Miyazaki's films. But when it comes down to it, Satoshi Kon is one of the great animation directors. He's one of the great Japanese directors, and he's one of the great directors, period. And I believe that Satoshi Kon should be uh, awarded all kinds of respect for what he did, what he accomplished, and what he helped achieve, because his visual style is spreading into Japanese animation. You see it in the movie Summer Wars, which unfortunately I'm not sure the director's name. People are calling him the next Miyazaki. He also directed The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Uh, but Satoshi Kon is definitely the director definitely a director to check out. He's one of the greatest directors in animation, in my opinion, and I will be getting into other directors as I go. I will be doing more select reviews from certain movies, but as of this point, definitely consider Satoshi Kon to be at the top of your must-watch list.